Hello! You know the routine. So let's begin. Question 1. Why did the Israelites spend 40 years in the wilderness? Is it because they sacrificed to a golden calf? They grumbled against God? They committed adultery? Or they broke the Sabbath? They were sentenced to 40 years for grumbling against God. In Numbers chapter 14. Question 2. Who was appointed to succeed Moses as the leader of Israel in the wilderness? And there's no multiple choice. And that was Joshua, according to Deuteronomy chapter 34. Question 3. Which of these did not oppose the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem? Was that Sanballat, Geshem, Zerubbabel, or Tobiah? That was Zerubbabel, according to Nehemiah chapter 6. Question 4. There's no choice here either. How many days of temptation did Jesus endure in the wilderness? And of course, that was 40 days in Mark chapter 1. Question 5. Elisha purified a pot of stew that had been poisoned with what? Poisoned with wild gourds in 2 Kings chapter 4. Question 6. Paul reminded the Corinthians that they should continue to believe the gospel that he had preached to them. Otherwise, what was the result? Was it that God would consign them to hell? That they had believed in vain? Wolves would come to them in sheep's clothing? Or they would never finish paying for themselves to be released from purgatory? And otherwise they had believed in vain, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Question 7. What king invaded Jerusalem and tore down its walls? Was that Nebuchadnezzar, Jehoiachin, Gedaliah, or Pharaoh? And that was Nebuchadnezzar in 2 Kings chapter 25. Question 8. Paul told the Philippians, I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, that the things that happened to me, have helped to spread the gospel, have hindered the spread of the gospel, have made me doubt the power of the gospel, or have made it impossible for me to spread the gospel. And the things happened have helped the spread of the gospel in Philippians chapter 1. Question 9. Paul told the Colossians what would happen if ye continue in the faith grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel which ye have heard. What would happen? Is it that they would be ushered into a netherworld to await judgment? They would be persecuted to the far corners of the world. They would be holy and blameless as they stand before God without fault, or they would have to ask their relatives to pay indulgences for them. And if they continued in the faith, grounded and settled, they would be holy and blameless, according to Colossians chapter 1. Question 10. Paul told the Thessalonians, For our gospel came not unto you in word only, but also in power, but in the Holy Ghost, but in much assurance, or all of the above? And it usually is all of the above. That's 1 Thessalonians chapter 1. Question 11. Paul explained to Timothy what the coming of Jesus Christ did. Now, what was that? Was it abolish death, bring life, bring immortality, or all of the above? And again, the coming of Christ does all of the above in 2 Timothy chapter 1. Question 12. Paul encouraged Timothy to remember two things about Jesus that were included in his presentation of the gospel. Now, what were they? Was it that he was born into David's lineage and he was raised from the dead? He obeyed his mother and Joseph, and he didn't cheat on his tithes. He never said a cross word, and he loved the little children. Or he healed the sick, and he raised the dead. And Paul wanted Timothy to remember that Jesus was born into David's lineage and was raised from the dead, according to 2 Timothy chapter 2. Question 13. What were James and John doing when Jesus called them? No multiple choice. James and John were fishing in Luke chapter 5. Question 14. What king of Israel broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim unto the corner gate, 400 cubits? Was that Jehu, Amaziah, Jehoash, or Ahab? And that was Jehoash in 2 Kings chapter 14. And question 15. Who did Jesus heal on the occasion when he allowed only Peter, James and John to go with him? Was it a blind man named Bartimaeus, the madman of the Gazarenes, the woman with the issue of blood, or Jairus' daughter? And in relative private, he healed Jairus' daughter in Mark chapter 5. So hi, it seems most viewers are not subscribers. I'm not sure how you found me, but if you'd like to do more of these quizzes, the best way to come across them is to subscribe and like this video. I'll see you soon, but until next time, goodbye and God bless.